All right. Another year, another video. I'm Phoenix Webb and I make videos inconsistently. So, I hope everyone is doing well during this pandemic, and it took me a while to get back to making videos. My top lip. I have lips. Yes, I like making faces at you. Time to whiten the teeth again. All of that aside, I had to take a while to figure out what I wanted to do with my channel. And yes, in the past I've talked about products I was excited about, products I like. I will still do that. Going forward though, when I talk about a product, I will always start off by telling people, hey, not all things are for all people. It's just makeup. Do not take it personally. Do not take it seriously. So, now that I've put all that out there, what I want to start off talking about is, yes, it's a pandemic. No, I'm not working. I'm in the state of California, and San Diego and the state of California, I should say, got hit with Assembly Bill 5, also known as AB 5. So that came out last year, and then it came out last year that it was coming, and then they rolled it out January 1st of this year. Essentially, AB 5, it was directed at Lyft and Uber drivers, because Lyft and Uber, especially Uber, always claimed that, oh, we're a technological company, we're not a driving company, but all their employees drive for Uber. Uber wanted to say that they were a tech company and not have to pay insurance tax or pay employee wages or anything like that. So Uber drivers were kind of at the mercy of Uber and working really hard, to make that money. Anyway, gig economy is what Assembly Bill 5 attacked. Not just Uber drivers, not just Lyft drivers, but also freelancers. Okay? So freelance journalists, freelance cartoonists, freelance makeup artists, freelance anybody in some way, shape, or form got hurt by this bill. Okay, so that cut back my work this year. I think I had a total of 2 projects since January. 2 projects since January 1 of this year. My voice sounds like hell. It sounds really dry. So anyway, AB 5 happened, and then the pandemic hit. So I'm at home. I'm not doing much. I should be able to do more videos. I'm really bad at doing videos. I'm out of practice. It is what it is. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this is what it's been. So why am I on here today of all days? Well, number one, to get back into the habit of making videos, and also to talk about makeup companies, in particularly Morphe brushes. I just watched a video by Robert Welsh here on YouTube. Robert Welsh is a professional makeup artist like myself, and he had included in his video of things not to buy a Morphe palette. I forget, it's a 35i. It's an icy palette. I forget the person they collaborated with to make it, and he just broke it down, dry and Not very purposeful as far as shadows, not the same quality and consistency that all of us who started buying Morphe way back in the day were accustomed to. And I know exactly what he's talking about. And I'm basically following up on what he talked about. I lost interest in Morphe, especially for their eyeshadow palettes, definitely after the Live Your Life palettes. The one that they brought out last year for LGBT, or Pride Week rather. Where is it? I'm looking for it. You're going to hear the drawers are opening. Sorry. It is buried down here. Let me just find it. I'm off camera. It sucks. I'm sorry. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to take out all my Morphe palettes so you can see what in the world I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So this is the palette I'm talking about. It is the last palette I got from them. Yes. Okay. I sound like hell. My voice is dry. I'm stumbling over my words. It's been a while since I did a video. Sorry. I still have the plastic protective film on it. So I am going to take that, put it here, and just show you what this palette looks like. There are some there's a couple of pressed glitters. There are all these beautiful colors, right? And some mattes. And I think a couple of shimmers. Yes. Like this and that. Like this. This. I mean, these are just some beautiful colors, and they are very representative of Pride Week and all the different flags we see for Pride Week. Great palette, right? Beautiful color, very exciting, bright, pigmented, just a really good palette. They didn't give this a number like they typically do. This is just the, well, what did they call this? I want to say Live Your Life palette, but they don't have it on the packaging. Now, the other palettes I have the 35G. It was the Glam palette. I'm not going to pull it out of my drawer. It's in there, but it was the first really large palette that they had. I had gotten that one. I really enjoyed it. I have the 35V palette, the 35M, and Jaclyn Hill Volume 1. I have not really had an interest in getting the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2, especially after what happened with the Jaclyn Hill Vault. And let me just show you before I do a deep dive into Morphe. This is the 35M. 35, whenever you see 35 on one of the Morphe palettes, it means it has 35 shadows. 35 pans of shadow. This 35M, I want to say, is one of the last that I bought from Morphe, and it's beautiful. Just gorgeous. I haven't even swatched this palette. I trust that it's good. I haven't really used it, and of course my focus is all over the place. Damn circle light. And this is the 35V palette. This is really pretty. I like this one. You know, you got all of your neutrals here, and then you got some blues. Right in here, a few pinks. Just a really nice palette. Well thought out in placement. It makes sense to me. So yeah, those are the only palettes I have aside from what is in my Pro Kit. In my Pro Kit, I have I have the bronze, the old bronze palette. It was a small one. I want to say it was like 16 shadows. And then I have a larger 35 pan palette from Morphe that is also neutrals, and are actually, it has all the colors. So I have a neutral and I have a color, both by Morphe for eyeshadows when I'm on set, when I have private clients, etc. So the point I am trying to make through all of this, I also have the Jaclyn Hill Vault collection. Morphe was great when they first came out. Wonderful palettes. They were one of the first to produce good quality, inexpensive, or rather affordable, I'll say, affordable palettes. They were great for makeup artists who were working that, didn't want to carry a lot of single shadows around. Their palettes were lovely. The colors were pigmented and they had great wearability. They were a joy to work with, those palettes. I started to lose respect for Morphe as a company after the Jaclyn Hill Vault release. Jaclyn Hill Volume 1, her palette, it was fantastic. It took Morphe to a different place. It was a different formulation than it was an upgrade of formulation than what Morphe had done previously. The Vault came out. Supposedly there were extra colors that she couldn't fit on a palette, but there weren't enough to make another palette, so she put together, or Morphe rather, in collaboration with Jaclyn Hill, put together these 8-pan palettes, and there were 4 of them. I went ahead, I got the whole collection. That was when people basically lost their minds in a very negative way about that palette. It was nothing that had been promised, because Morphe evidently, as it turned out, like 2 years later, after someone did some research, 2 years later, it was discovered that Morphe had changed the formula. They didn't tell Jaclyn they changed the formula to something worse that they put out to the public. She had a great palette. I think all the palettes of the Vault the Vault collection that went to influencers had a very different formula. A great formula, a beautiful formula. Someone at Morphe changed the formula as to what would go out to the public. Nobody knew what happened. People were angry, and with good cause. That was my first. That was the first incident in which my respect for Morphe came down a notch. All right? The next notch down with Morphe, in my opinion, was when Jaclyn Hill, young, inexperienced in business matters, let alone production matters, got on YouTube and did her best to tactfully, protectively of Morphe, to explain what happened with the Vault collection. She had no business getting up on YouTube to talk about Morphe without a Morphe rep sitting there with her on camera to talk about what happened. Morphe just left her, to fly in the wind. Morphe said not a damn thing about that Vault collection or what happened, anything. And they just let Jaclyn twist in the wind on that one. That was the second time I lost respect for Morphe. And what finally did it for me with Morphe is they started competing with everybody. and putting out product after product after product after product. Every year, just a whole slew of products. And then they expanded the entire product offering to include foundations and powders and bronzers and blushes and lip products, lip liners, really, eyeliners, lashes. Their lashes are nothing to really write home about. Their lashes aren't, they don't attract me. I'll say that. In all fairness, I love Eyelure lashes. Eyelure and Ardell. Those are my go-tos for lashes. So I have Morphe brushes. They're okay. They're great. I did not do the Jaclyn Hill brushes. I did not do the James Charles collection of brushes, even though they're just Morphe brushes. And to that end, when James Charles came out with his palette, I don't care for James Charles' personality. I don't care for his antics. He's a little boy with a lot of money. I can make allowances for someone in their late teens and their entire decade of their 20s to make stupid mistakes, to behave stupidly. It happens. The whole decade of our 20s is to be dumb. We're going to be dumb. We think we know everything in our 20s, but we're dumb as rocks, to be perfectly honest. In my 20s, I was dumb as a rock. I make no bones about it. I made plenty of mistakes, and I'm okay. I grew out of it. I got the James Charles palette. I sold the James Charles palette. I so disliked him as a person as to how he presented himself. And that's all we have to go on with any influencer, is how they present themselves. So the way he presented himself, all over social media, I did not like him based on how he presented himself. Therefore, I wanted nothing to do with this palette. The palette was gorgeous. Really, really pretty. Beautiful shadows. Beautiful formulation. It was great. I didn't like his name. And I wasn't going to go covering the palette. I'm much too honest for that, personally. So I sold the palette. And even I went on Twitter asking Morphe to drop James Charles as one of their collaborations, because his antics were just too much. And it just left such a bad taste for me, and I'm sure it did that for a lot of people, and I couldn't understand why. Well, yes, I can. Morphe kept him because Morphe made a lot of money off of him. Like they made a lot of money off of Jaclyn Hill, and they make a lot of money off of several influencers. It all comes down to one thing. Everything that I have of Morphe, I'm good with right now. I cannot say for certain, they say never. I will not say that I will never spend money on Morphe again. I will say, since last year, I've not spent a dime with Morphe. I will not spend another dime with Morphe until they go back to what they know. And that's another point. Morphe specialized in palettes. That was their specialty. They cornered the market on eyeshadow palettes. Not just palettes for professional use, but palettes for personal use. Consumers never had that before, where they could get, 16 or 20 or 35 colors in one palette. It was convenient. It was awesome. You didn't have to pick and choose a whole bunch of different single shadows trying to make something happen with a client. You didn't have to, dig through 30 odd single shadows at home trying to find the perfect color, to wear any one given day. You had a full-on palette to do that. Morphe messed up. They went to go and do what everybody else was doing. That was to diversify their products. No. Stop it. Stop it, Morphe. Go back to what you know. Go back to what you're best at. And make your money. I have no problem with a cosmetic line making money. Okay? I don't argue that. But when you diversify too fast and too soon, your quality goes to shit. And that is what's happened with Morphe. Their quality has gone to shit. Consistency in the quality of their eyeshadow palettes, there is no excuse for that. That is what they specialized in. And then they went and fucked it up because they had to go play with the formulation. Or they changed laboratories, or they did something. Okay? They did something stupid. They've made bad business decisions. Diversifying is a bad business decision. But, yeah, I'm just a consumer like everybody else. Even though, I'm a professional makeup artist, I'm still a consumer. And I still know what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's my rant. Thank you for listening. And I will see you in the next video. And stay safe. Stay clean. Sanitize. Use your 70% or more alcohol. Look on Google. Find out how to make your own sanitizers. Wear your masks. And stay home. Please, everybody, stay home. This virus isn't just killing old people. It's not just killing people with pre-existing conditions. It's killing young people. Healthy 30-year-olds. It's killing children. It's killing people of all ages. And the best thing we can do is stay home. All right. Y'all be good.